Hello everybody, and welcome to my tutorial on how to obtain the True Copper Shortsword in Terraria 1.4.5. Today I will explain how to get all of the components for the True Copper Shortsword and how to merge them all together. Keep in mind this is an endgame weapon, meaning you already have to have beaten the final boss. This might sound like a lot of work to get a better Copper Shortsword, which is the worst weapon in the game by the way, but trust me, this weapon is definitely worth it. I'll give you a showcase by using it in this entire video, including a Master Mode boss rush at the end. So now, without further ado, here's how to obtain it. The True Copper Shortsword requires you to obtain 10 different swords from different stages in the game, which can be used to craft the Zenith, the item needed to obtain the True Copper Shortsword. However, it is made by combining a grand total of 18 different swords, since some are needed to craft one of the main 10 weapons. You will also need some other materials, but I'll get more into depth when we get there. Now I'll explain how to get each of these materials and weapons in order of easiest to hardest to obtain. The first sword we need is actually really easy to obtain. Just make a new character in any difficulty besides journey mode. You start with the Copper Shortsword with these characters, so that's easy enough. And even if you lose it, you can just create a dummy character. If you are playing on journey mode however, you have to put in a little more effort. You will need 5 copper bars or 15 copper ore, easily obtained in caves near the surface or sometimes in chests. Besides that, they can also be found in wooden, pearlwood, iron and mithril crates. Once you got these, you can craft the Copper Shortsword and an anvil. The next weapon is the Star Fury. To obtain this item, you can look for sky islands, which can be found in a few different ways. You could look for small puddles of water, which can indicate a sky island directly above. Other methods include using rope vertically where a sky island could be, using gravitation potions, or using the golf ball method. I should note that there are also sky lakes, where you can fish for sky and azure crates, which can contain the Star Fury as well, but this could take longer depending on your luck. Then we get to the Enchanted Sword. This item can be found in sword shrines, indicated by these 1 block wide vertical openings on the further edges of the world, with larger worlds having a higher chance to generate multiple. And since the small vertical openings can be hard to spot because they may not be visible from the surface, using Jester arrows crafted with 10 arrows and a fallen star, you can spot this gap more easily. These shrines have a 49 out of 50 chance to drop the Enchanted Sword, with a very rare chance to drop the Terraria. This is a cool weapon by itself, but not what we need in this video. However, the Enchanted Sword also has a chance to be dropped by golden and titanium crates. Now for one of the most OP early game weapons, the Blade of Grass. I like getting this one early in my playthroughs because it makes things a lot easier because of its strength. For this weapon, you will need 3 vines dropped by man-eaters, 15 jungle spores found in the underground jungle, and 12 stingers from hornets or spiked jungle slimes. Then you can craft the Blade of Grass and an anvil. Next up is a choice, or depending on your world evil biome, the Light's Bane or the Blood Butcher. These can be crafted at an anvil with either 10 demonite or crimtane bars respectively, or 30 ores of either one. These are dropped by the Eye of Cthulhu, the Eater of Worlds and the Brain of Cthulhu. On average, only 1 kill will be required. Corruption worlds will drop demonite ores, while Crimson worlds drop crimtane ores. I do, however, have no idea which they would drop in a drunk world, but you can always make a new normal world for these drops. The Volcano is going to be the next sword we'll get. This requires 20 Hellstone bars or 60 Hellstone combined with 20 obsidian. These can only be obtained with pickaxes obtained after defeating the Eater of Worlds or the Brain of Cthulhu. Although, to be totally fair, you don't have to defeat them. Just kill enough Eater of Worlds segments, or creepers in the case of Brain of Cthulhu. These drop shadow scales or tissue samples, which you will need 6 of. Combine it with 12 more demonite or crimtane bars to an anvil to either get the Nightmare pickaxe or the Deathbringer pickaxe. Now go to the underworld and carefully mine out 60 hellstone and 20 obsidian. You also need to grab a hellforge in the underworld to craft them into hellstone bars. Then go to an anvil and craft a volcano. If you don't want to dig all the way to the underworld, you could also consider making a new world in the Remix Secret Seed and look west and east for hellstone. Now let's get into how to obtain the Muramasa. This weapon is found in the dungeon. This means you need to defeat Skeletron in order to obtain it. But once you do, enter the dungeon and look for wooden chests which can hold golden keys. Another method to get golden keys is by farming various dungeon enemies, but they have a 100% drop rate from dungeon slimes. Once a key has been obtained, open a golden chest, and with some luck you can find the Muramasa. Now that we have obtained the Blade of Grass, Muramasa, Volcano, and either the Light's Bane or Blood Butcher, our next sword will be very easy in comparison. Just go to your world's evil biome and find a demon or crimson altar. Just have the 4 swords in your inventory while standing near an altar and opening up your crafting menu. Now you can craft the best pre-hard mode sword and a component for the True Copper Shortsword called the Knight's Edge. The last pre-hard mode sword we can get is the Beekeeper. This sword has a 1 in 3 chance to be dropped by Queen Bee, naturally found in hives in the underground jungle. The reason I only mentioned it now was because I had more issues defeating Queen Bee compared to the other bosses, likely because I was playing on Master Mode difficulty. I don't have much to say about it, so just kill Queen Bee and hope for the best. Now it's time to kill the Wall of Flesh to enter hard mode. Once in hard mode, our next objective is to destroy demon or crimson altars, which replaces existing ores to better hard mode variants. With these ores you can make a mithril or orichalcum anvil. Your next objective is to kill any of the mechanical bosses. All 3 of them drop 15 to 30 hallowed bars when defeated. You only need 12 of these to craft the Excalibur, our next part of the True Copper Shortsword. Now crafted at a mithril or orichalcum anvil. You will need to defeat all 3 mechanical bosses for this next step, but besides game progression, these bosses also drop various souls. The Destroyer drops Souls of Might, the Twins drop Souls of Sight, and Skeletron Prime drops Souls of Fright. Obtain 20 of each and take your Knight's Edge to a hard mode anvil and craft the true Knight's Edge. Also make sure to keep some hallowed bars and souls to craft the Pickaxe Axe or the Dregs for our next step. Next up is some more mining for ores. Chlorophyte ores to be more precise. You'll need 120 chlorophyte ore or 24 chlorophyte bars for our next weapon. This can only be done in an adamantite or titanium forge. Chlorophyte ores can be easily obtained by mining in the underground jungle or by spreading the chlorophyte to mud blocks, but this may take a while. Once enough chlorophyte bars have been obtained, take your Excalibur to a mithril or orichalcum anvil and craft the true Excalibur. The next crafting item is a 1 in 4 drop chance from Mothron during a solar eclipse, which has a 1 in 20 chance to happen on any particular day during dawn. To trigger the solar eclipse, you need to have defeated any mechanical boss, but you need to have defeated all 3 of them to get this next item to drop. So once all 3 mechanical bosses have been defeated, farm Mothrons for the Broken Hero Sword. This isn't a weapon by itself, but if it's combined with the True Knight's Edge and True Excalibur and a mithril or orichalcum anvil, you'll get the Terra Blade. The Terra Blade is about to be pretty useful against our next foe, Plantera. Plantera bulbs can spawn in your world once all 3 mechanical bosses have been defeated. Once you find one of these, make a little arena and defeat Plantera. The item drop we are looking for is the Seedler, which has a 1 in 8 chance to drop from this boss. This could be difficult, so be patient. While we're here, you can use the key dropped by Plantera to open up the jungle temple. Defeating Golem is a requirement for an item later, so we might as well do it now. After defeating Plantera, you unlock the Pumpkin Moon and Frost Moon events. We won't need to do the Frost Moon event, but one of the bosses in the Pumpkin Moon event has a chance to drop the next sword we'll need. In order to start this event, you're required to have 10 hallowed bars, 5 ectoplasm and 30 pumpkins. As previously mentioned, the hallowed bars drop from the 3 mechanical bosses. Ectoplasm drops from dungeon spirits, enemies that spawn by killing dungeon enemies after defeating Plantera, having a 100% chance to drop 1 to 2 ectoplasm for each dungeon spirit. And finally, pumpkins can be obtained by buying seeds from the Dryad, planting them and waiting for them to grow, or spawn naturally between October 10th and November 1st. And in case you were wondering, you can just alter the date on your PC to make the game think it's Halloween to get the pumpkins to spawn naturally. Once each of these items is obtained, craft a Pumpkin Moon medallion at a mithril or orichalcum anvil. Use the medallion at 7:30 PM and the event will last until 4:30 AM. You'll be looking for pumpkins, which start spawning on wave 10 and beyond of this event. The Horseman's Blade, aka the item we are looking for, has a flexible drop rate, starts at 2.5% or 6.25% on Expert and Master, going up to 12.5% chance on later waves of enemies. You may be required to repeat this event if it doesn't drop. Once obtained, you can move on to our next component. But we're not done with events yet. Remember I mentioned killing Golem earlier was a good idea? That's because this next weapon will drop from a boss in the post-Golem event, the Martian Madness. Look for a Martian probe in the sky on the 2 outer lateral thirds of your world. They are more common near space, but can also be spotted in slightly lower areas. Have it detect you and let it fly off. This will spawn the Martian Madness event. After 30% completion of this event, Martian saucers can spawn, which have about a 1 in 6 chance to drop the influx waiver. So now, we only have 2 weapons remaining. The last 2 weapons we need are both dropped by the final boss, called the Moon Lord. In order to fight him, go to the dungeon and you will spot 4 cultists. If you don't see them, make sure Golem has been defeated and maybe wait a little while, like until the next in-game day. Killing the cultist spawns our next boss, the Lunatic Cultist. Just defeat this boss and the lunar event will begin. This consists of fighting the 4 celestial pillars and finally, the Moon Lord. Defeating the Moon Lord has a 100% chance to drop 2 of its 10 possible items, and the Meowmere and the Star Wrath are 2 of them. An alternative way to spawn the Moon Lord is by using a celestial sigil, crafted with 12 solar, vortex, nebula and stardust fragments at an ancient manipulator, dropped by the Lunatic Cultist. This again could take a while, but don't give up. You are almost done and ready to obtain the True Copper Shortsword. Now, once you have obtained the Copper Shortsword, Star Fury, Enchanted Sword, Beekeeper, Terra Blade, Seedler, Horseman's Blade, Influx Waiver, Meowmere and Star Wrath, go to a Mithril or a Kalkan Anvil and craft the Zenith. This weapon is the exact same as the True Copper Shortsword, but with different visuals. To transform it into the True Copper Shortsword, you have to find the Aether mini biome, which can spawn in the outer fifths of the world, in the underground or cavern layer on the same side as the jungle. It contains Shimmer, a very powerful tool. Now, throw the Zenith in the Shimmer and you will finally be rewarded with the True Copper Shortsword. So that's how to obtain the True Copper Shortsword. I hope my instructions were clear enough for you all, but I have one last thing to show you. The True Copper Shortsword against every boss in Master Mode. Let's go.